So we're joined from Rock Hill, South Carolina, by one of the hosts of the M&M Experience on YouTube, Dr. Marilyn Martin. We thank you so much for taking some time for us today as we continue to celebrate Black History Month, and as we always continue to celebrate Black entrepreneurs and Black professionals here on this platform. This is our entrepreneurship class here at Velma Jackson High School. And we're recording this for all of our friends in Madison County schools, Madison Central High School, Ridgeland High School, Germantown High School, the Academic Options Center, and our YouTube channel. So
Nice.
thank you so much for taking some time for us, and can't wait to hear this for them to hear the story of growing up as a twin, and then your experience at Winthrop and all your many degrees and many businesses you've done over the years.
Thank you. Well, first of all, Greg, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here to speak with your students. I'll start with a brief introduction, and which kind of encompasses everything you just said. But as you mentioned, my name is Marilyn Martin. I am from South Carolina, currently hail from Rock Hill, South Carolina. And my professionally, I'm both an educator with the healthcare system. I train on billing, coding, documentation, all things compliance. And then I also teach part-time at a community college up in Charlotte, North Carolina, as well as online with DeVry University. So this is very informal, so I'm probably going to go all over the place. Can they hear me? I mean, I know they can hear me, but
Yeah, they're
am I
looking
able
at
to?
you on a they're looking at you on a board on the front of the room.
Okay. All right. So can I ask them questions? Will I be able to hear
Oh
them if
yeah,
I?
oh yeah, oh yeah.
Oh,
Whatever type of engagement you want.
okay, cool. I do want to kind of poll the class to see who is either a current entrepreneur or who's thinking about starting their own business.
Well, I do know one. She's working in a salon and she's already started doing some cosmetology work. All of
Okay.
them for the class came up with their own business concept. So we've got barbecue, we've got a clothing line, we've got a car detail, we got a child care center. Yeah, all the ones that are here today, that's what we have. And the one that's already working in the salon, she's got her
Mhm.
heart set on being a professional cosmetologist and opening her own salon.
Very nice. Very nice. Okay. So thank you for that. And I figured they had to do projects that were
Yep.
business based in your class, but I was wondering
Yeah.
who's actually going to do something with it and actually start their own business. So it's kind of cool that you have at least one who kind of knows
Yep.
where she's headed. That's cool. S-
But
So,
let me add, and you'd like this, I forgot to add the barbecue concept. His
mhm.
concept is not only to have the food truck and mobile barbecue, but he also wants to have a social aspect that feeds the homeless. So it really
Oh,
is a cool concept of social entrepreneurship.
very nice. Very nice. A lot of good ideas in your class.
Yep. Oh yeah.
A lot of good ideas. So I'm gonna be move
Oh,
all
go
over the
ahead.
place. So originally from South Carolina, I've lived a few other places, but not very long. I always end up back here in Rock Hill, which is, as you mentioned, I attended Winthrop University in the 90s and just kind of stuck around, raised my son here. And my career started in healthcare. I majored in business administration with a major or concentration, is what we called it back then, in healthcare administration. And so that kind of started my career in healthcare. I worked for a big payer, United Healthcare. And from there, just went on to work on the professional side, physician practices, hospital business offices, all the things, coding, compliance, auditing. So that is the space that I'm in now, professionally still in. That's my day job. And I will be honest with you, when I chose that wasn't my first major in college. So it is okay for those who are going to college. If you change your major once, maybe twice, it's okay. It's never too early to start thinking about though what you want to do, what your interests are. Because I thought I was going to be a computer scientist. That was my first major in college, and quickly found out in year one that that was not where I wanted to be professionally long term. It took a lot of hours debugging programs and code and all the things. So I changed my major and it's worked out well. The one thing that I think that I had in mind when I changed my major, because of course there were options like accounting and finance and all the things connected to business marketing, I knew that healthcare was an industry that's pretty much recession proof, right? Because people will always need it. unfortunately, and fortunately, because now we have preventive care, which is a really big thing these days. So, I think I did what was smart for me in the long run, and that would give me more options. So I think that's something that also the students can consider, not only if they're going to start their businesses, but if they start their career outside of if they when they start their career or when they go to college. So that is kind of my higher education career, if you will. And then after I went on to get my MBA and my doctorate in business administration leadership. And now I also teach at the college level and have been doing that mostly part-time since 2014. So I learned early in my career also what I enjoy doing. And I would just say follow that. Start with your interest, start with your strengths and your weaknesses, because it's just as important to know what you're not good at. I learned that the hard way as well. And start thinking now, what classification are they, sophomores, juniors? What are your
I
class?
have all with me right now. I have all 10th and 11th.
10th and 11th. Oh, this is perfect. Yes, this is definitely
And
when.
I have one ninth grader. I have one
Okay.
ninth grader, but she's super smart, so she can be in any grade. But yeah, we've got one ninth grader. The rest are 10th and 11th grade.
Very nice, very nice. Yes, this is the time. Also the time when I think most of them are probably taking SAT, ACT, all of the things.
Oh
If
yeah,
you have,
get this. Tuesday after next, the juniors are taking the ACT for free during school. Where was that when we needed it?
are you serious?
As
That
a heart
is
attack.
amazing. Good for, oh, that's progress. We call that
Yeah,
progress.
our school district for all of our juniors on February 24th, they get a free ACT during school, and they've been reviewing for it all semester. So
And they get a
great
free
prep for it,
review.
and then getting to take it during a school day for free.
That's amazing. I don't know if that's a thing in South Carolina.
Yeah.
Not sure, but that is definitely you all are fortunate that you don't have to pay for the exam, take the prep class, or buy that big thick book to prepare. So good kudos to y'all and your district for making that a priority.
Absolutely. Now something you mentioned about, learning a business, something that we've learned on this platform that I've learned is that most entrepreneurs either still hold on to a part-time job or still work full-time and still do the entrepreneurial thing. Because it's hard to just jump in head first into entrepreneurship because
Very hard.
especially if people want to have kids, they're going to need some
Hmm.
steady income. They're going to need health insurance. And we've had people on this platform that are making really good money as entrepreneurs, but
Hmm.
staying on a job, even part time, can keep them with benefits for their kids and
Yep.
have them some sort of steady income if business ever slows down. So I know
Yep.
that's something you and your sister both have done. So, what
Absolutely.
are some advantages to that to learn a business? And then, even if you go out on your own, to kind of hold on to a part time job or even a full time job?
That is a great question. I'll start with my current business and then I'll give you some perspective about it, which is not my first business, to your point. Current business, I started in 2016, if I'm not mistaken, and it has primarily been something on the side, right? I'm a single parent, so don't have the luxury, unfortunately, of having two incomes, to your point, to provide for
Yeah.
benefits and stability. So for me, it's been mostly on the side or when I was teaching full time, had a 9 month appointment. So during the summers, I had some free time to kind of dabble into things. So I think the thing about entrepreneurship is that you can make it work for you, whatever your situation is. There's no one size fits all. And it will take a lot more work, probably, than it would to work a full-time job to build your business. So I think there's a misperception that starting a business is easy. It is not. You have to do the foundational stuff first, right? You got to make your business legitimate, get all your documentation, your EIN, bank account. That's just the administrative stuff. But making sure that you're exposed to potential customers or clients and making sure that you have a marketing plan um, and that you are putting yourself in the position to be successful is going to be that takes work. You got to have a business plan. You need to have some allies. I would say make sure you're talking to people who've done it before. Get you a mentor. I've had plenty of those throughout my career, still have plenty. of mentors. But for me, it was again was smart for my family. So I knew by 2016, after having I think maybe one or two times before, I thought, you know what, I'm ready to do something on my own because we have all these ideas, right? That's one thing about entrepreneurs. We naturally have ideas that we think will catch on and people will be interested in, but there's a lot of work between idea generation and implementation. And that's the part that I think people do not understand. That's going to require startup money because you have to have an infrastructure, whether even if it's just computer to kind of start a website or what have you. There's no business that doesn't require you to kind of put in that sweat equity. So I just want to impress upon, and I believe the statistic, if it hasn't changed, that a lot of new businesses typically fail within maybe the first 3 to 5 years. I think it's 5 years. And I think there are some that's more risky, like restaurant business, that is a lot riskier than some of these other businesses. So for me, I knew jumping out doing something major like that required me to have a office space or a host different setup. That wasn't something so consulting, I can do that at will as people ask or as there's a need as far as coding and billing audits or presenting at workshops or career coaching is also something that I do. So I did what was smart for me because I knew I was going to need to stay in the full-time market, but I needed to do something that could be flexible. So you have to think about all of those things, and sometimes you even have to consider investors. Who's going to help you?
Yeah.
Are you going to get a loan? I mean, that's a whole nother part of all of this. And as young students, or sometimes when you all get out of high school or college, some of the issue could be you don't have enough credit to get a business loan. So that is when you start considering resources like the Small Business Development Center. We had one at Winthrop University. I'm pretty
Yep.
sure they have something similar
Yeah.
there.
And we have a great relationship too at Jackson State. A friend of this class is their head of entrepreneurship, Dr. Sharon Simmons. So even if you're
Very
not an
nice.
entrepreneurship major, there are all types of entrepreneurship resources on college campuses for you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. They are. So you have to tap into that. You have to be intentional about putting yourself in those spaces. Um, and you have to make sure you're prepared. You can't just jump out on the deep end. And prepared could look like going back to school to get another degree, right? Or diversifying your background. In addition to my former education, I have several healthcare certifications. So my degrees are more so business, but my certifications are 100% healthcare. So I have kind of the best of both worlds to equip me. And now I also teach medical billing and coding. That's what I do part-time. So, and I will be very honest and transparent with your students. I did not sit down and have a list of where I wanted to be at year 5, year 10, year 15. I did not have, and which might make me sound a little irresponsible, but I want to be honest to say, yes, you have to have a plan, but and I had a vision in my head all the time, right? But you don't get so tied to a checkoff list, right? That you miss some of your opportunities. And I think one of the reasons why I am where I am is because I wasn't so tied to, well, no, I need to do this at year 5. And by year 10, I just went with the flow, which is I don't know if that's good or bad, may not work for everybody, but I had direction. So I don't want you to hear what I'm not saying. I wasn't just by happenstance doing these things, but just make sure you're not so rigid in your goals and in your approach that you don't see when, okay, I need to pivot, or this over here seems like it may be better for me in the long run, or maybe I need to get a partner in my business, right? And we can complement each other's strengths, weaknesses, assets, things of that nature. So there was a lot of that. And for me, I'm sorry, you want to say something because
No,
I'm
you're
gonna
good.
talk. Okay. So I want to impress that upon your students as well. And if you don't have an interest in starting your own business, that's okay too, right? Because this class is going to teach you things that you can use throughout your life, throughout college. So I think, but having that entrepreneurial spirit, I think feeding it in any way. You mentioned Greg earlier, podcast. I've figured out that I like being in a space where I can be creative, right, and
Yeah.
express myself. I didn't go to school for that. I didn't go to school for communications, none of any of that. It just kind of evolved for me. So I think that's one thing. The older you become, more often than not, hopefully more self-aware you become, and hey, this is something I think I could do. I could be good at it, and just kind of follow that path.
Well, something you mentioned I think is good because our next test is on the record keeping and file management, which isn't the fun side of business, but it's the
Nope.
necessary side of business. And something else you talked about, you said you have a business background and the certifications. One of my
Mhm.
favorite stories to tell is that another guest in this platform who is a record-breaking doctor here in Mississippi. She's the only black female GI doctor in the state of Mississippi, and
Wow.
which is an accomplishment in herself. But she's decided to
Yes.
open her own practice because she wanted to do her own thing. And she got on here, and I'll show you the video where she said it. She said, "I knew everything about how to take care of patients. I knew everything about the GI system for kids. I could do everything for them medically, but I knew nothing about how to run a business." And that's what like our young lady here who was going to be a great gifted cosmetologist. That's only part of it. There are people that are great cosmetologists that don't have any business running a business.
That's correct.
So it's not just learning the skill that you're selling; it's learning the business side of things to set
Yep.
yourself apart in a business setting.
Yep. You just hit the nail on the head. And more often than not, when you're talking about startup physician practices or solo physician practices that are not affiliated with a major healthcare system, that is typically what it is. They're great clinically. They can do everything they were trained to do, but it's operating the business and that is actually where some of my clients have come from in years past because hey, we don't think we're getting this right. We think, hey, can you come in and take a look and tell us, can we do? It's just not there. And I think it's very big of her to acknowledge that, to say that, and hopefully get the resources and the assistance she needs to have a successful business
She
because
is crushing it. She is absolutely
I,
crushing it. But she
what's
admitted
her
when she
name?
opened the door, Dr. Angela Shannon, she owns Happy Tummy's GI clinic right by my house, actually, in Flowood, Mississippi.
Very
And she
nice.
has got a heck of a story in itself. But it was just so funny to hear her say that because you don't think about that. Because, it's like you said, people assume just because you can cook, you can run a restaurant. They think just because you can do hair, you can run a salon.
That's
Just because you
right.
can fix cars, you can run a body shop. It doesn't work like that. There really is
No.
business acumen that's going to be required in any field.
Correct. And I don't suggest that the business owner is always that person, but the business owner needs to know enough about the business, right? To make sure that the business is functioning properly, that everything is on the up and up. And I think that too can sometimes be a weakness where someone just turns over, okay, you do the business, I do this part, but you still have to know what's going on because I think that's how sometimes people get themselves in a situation because they don't know what's going on. So be informed. If it's your business, it's your business. The buck starts and stops with you. So whether or not you have a manager or whatever title you give that person, you need to be meeting with that person monthly, weekly, whatever cadence works for you to be informed about, okay, these are our expenses. This is how much income we're generating, revenue we're generating. All of those things matter. These are how many heads we need to do in the month of May in order to stay afloat. Like all of those things matter. And lucky for business owners, if I don't know about in Mississippi, but there are CPA practices all over, right? So you can get help with this stuff, with your taxes and stuff. You don't
Yeah.
have to
And we
know
actually
how to
have another
do.
friend of this class who is an entrepreneur who works
Mhm.
with entrepreneurs. She does mobile bookkeeping. Name's
Look at it.
Akinter Dancy in the Washington D.C. area, and that's what she does. She does the books for black female-owned businesses who don't have that expertise, who can't afford to hire a full-time person, but she is there as an entrepreneur working with entrepreneurs.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So she saw again, and that's the one thing about business is you just said something. In order to have a successful business, and this is what they teach me all through B school, right? You have to identify a problem, right? And then identify how you can solve it. That's pretty much when I was writing my doctoral study. I had to have the problem statement, all of the things. What is your problem? And so many times, I'll be honest, I would go to my chair or my professor, and they're like, that's not really a problem. It has to be a solvable problem. And then my study actually, with the research, told how to solve that particular problem. Mine was on employee turnover in the insurance industry. And so all of my research was about turnover, which adversely became about employee retention because the two go hand in hand. So think about a business problem there in your area that you all see, and maybe you can fill that gap.
Awesome. Now, before they've handed me some great questions, and before we get to those, I want to talk about the M&M Experience, was the podcast you and your sister host, your
Mhm,
twin sister host, and
mhm.
something that y'all talked about on one of the episodes I thought was really good because your sister said, "I'm an introvert by nature, but I'll have to learn to speak."
Yeah,
And kids all the time say, "Well, I'm shy speaking. I get nervous talking to people." Well, if you're going to be successful in business, you're going to have communication skills. I'm not
absolutely.
saying you got to get up and give a keynote speech in front of 2,000 people, but
Right.
you I keep using the cosmetology as an example. You're going to have to talk to a customer about how you're going to do their hair, bounce
Yep.
ideas off of them. It's some.
Yep.
We have the young lady that wants to open the car detailing shop.
Hmm.
You're going to have to explain, here's our packages, here's what I'm going to give you, here's why you should give me that money.
Right.
So, so in order to be successful in business and as an entrepreneur, you've got to get comfortable speaking and being confident because
Mhm.
we had somebody on this platform say people don't do business with who is good, they do business with who they like.
That's
So
right.
if you can convince a customer to like you and
Hmm.
say, look, I trust that person, it's convenient, you're going to be able to say, hey, put the money in my hand and let's do business.
That's right. I 100% agree with you. If they like you, if you're confident and they believe what you're saying and what you're selling, I think they'll at least give you a chance. And then it's on you to make sure they come back to you because competition is always going to be there. People always have options, right? The question is why is your business the one they should go to? And that's what entrepreneurs have to keep in mind.
Love it. Well, I do have these questions. I'll get to as many of these
Sure.
as I can. This person is
Okay.
Chandra Alicia Black. She's in 10th grade. She's the one that's already working in the cosmetology industry, already very
Nice.
gifted in hair and really showing some good business sense.
Hmm.
But she asked, what motivates you to keep going when you feel like quitting?
Oh, that's a great question. Oh my gosh. So let me let me try to what motivates me? Well, of course, I'm a parent, so those of us who have children, they are one of our motivators, right? But I think for me, it's competing against myself and trying to just be better every day, whether it's in this space as a professional or as a person. So, I don't know if that answered your question, but that's kind of what motivates me because we all get to that point where we're tired and we just want to stop, but stopping has never been an option for me. So yeah, I just hold on to the good things and try to keep getting better.
All right, I like this one. This is Jameer Mayfield. He's in 11th grade, part of our drum
Hi,
line here
Janine.
at Velma Jackson. He's the one with the barbecue concept. But
Nice.
he asked, what is the best process to develop and maintain a consistent brand?
Ooh. So definitely I think I mentioned this earlier. When you're talking about your brand, first of all, you have to know what your brand is, right? You have to identify your own personal brand, the brand, as well as the brand of your business. Um, and I think you need to do that a couple of different ways. So you have to be consistent, number one, consistent with your marketing, your message, because you want people to see you and your business how you intend for them to, right? So that means your logos, your slogans, all of that stuff should be about your business, right? Or your main business product or service. So I think knowing where the spaces you should be in, um, making sure that your business is in the right location, because sometimes your brand can be tainted by virtue of association. So if you're not in the right place, right, then people may not give you that chance that I was just talking about. So I think there are all of those things which kind of go into probably some of the think concepts y'all have learned in class, this class, marketing. Um, but you have to be intentional. Your brand just doesn't work on its own, right? You have to be, you're the person that promotes your brand, and you have to be consistent in your messaging.
Love it. This is Quenisha Kennedy. She's in 10th grade. She's the one that has the,
Nisha.
she's looking at me funny. She's in 11th grade. I got her grade wrong again. But she's the one with the car detail concept. And she asked if you could go back and change one thing about your journey, what would it be?
Oh, great question. I have an answer for you. If I could go back and change one thing about my journey, I would have stayed at my first job out of college longer. I would have stayed there long. I think I could have done a lot more growing, not just professionally as far as the work that I was doing, but the people that I was around. That's really important too, as you're starting a business or working in your jobs. The work environment you all will find will be very important. So sometimes it's not about who can pay me the most, right? Or what's the shortest commute. It's about finding your tribe, finding the people who will pour into you, who are supporting you and want to see you be successful. So I would have stayed in my first job out of college, which eventually they ended up closing their office in Charlotte anyway. So I would have had to make a decision whether I wanted to move to Greensboro or stay here and get another job, but still, I would have stayed there a little bit longer. Great
Love it. Well,
question.
I got time for two more. This is
Okay.
Tredarius Quinn. He's in 10th grade, also a member of our band here at Belma Jackson.
There
And he
is.
asked, oh, and he's got a clothing brand concept that he's already putting into operation. So he's got a
Cool.
business mind as well. But he asked, what has been the biggest challenge you have faced as a black business owner?
Um, I would say, well, I don't even know if it's because I'm a black business owner. I think for me, I'm in a lot of different spaces and I have commitments outside of my full time, outside of my business. I think for me is making the time. I'll be honest. The reason why my business is not, where I won't even say where I want it to be. It's where I want it to be, but you have to invest the time. And I'll be honest, I go through waves. And that's not like, and I don't have the time to be honest with you. That's one of the reasons why I don't push my business or promote my business. I don't have the time to take on clients right now, but I can do like projects here and there. So I'm more like a project management type of get up. I can't commit to clients long term.
Well, that's such a skill kids have to learn as they get ready to go to college, even more so now is time management.
Yep,
You're gonna have to miss out on a lot of things that you thought you'd want to do if you want to get to where you want to be.
for
I
sure.
always say to live how you want to live, you got to do things you don't want to do. So
Absolutely.
that's something they're gonna have. Now, I love that. I got one more, and I love this one. This is
Okay.
Aaliyah Clay, our one ninth grader with us here today. She's got a really cool concept for her early childhood learning center,
Uh-huh.
and she asked, "How did you come up with the idea for you and your sister to start the podcast?"
So great question. It was actually my idea. It wasn't me and my sister's idea. So we said on one of our shows, I've actually been a guest and a guest host on another podcast that's local here. Shout out to Higher Definition Radio. And that is something that I just found that I enjoy doing with every show that we prepare for. Um, and then at one point I had an idea and I was like, I think that's something I want to do. So I actually asked her and invited her, hey, is this something you would like to do with me? Because sometimes our lives go in two different directions. So I thought it might be fun to have something together at this age. And so that's how that evolved. She said yes. And then from there, we just kind of started brainstorming.
Yeah, and it really is interesting because you guys talk about it's fun issues, but you talk about real issues. Um,
Absolutely.
and I always say, social media is not going anywhere, but I
No.
mean, but there's so many things you can do positive on it.
Yes.
That's how we connected. But you can, I like the celebrities too. I'm a big sports fan. I like seeing the athletes. I like getting my sports updates. I like seeing movie trailers. I like watching funny stuff. But I also like to find things that are positive
Yes.
that can make me think.
Yes.
To challenge things that I may be doing. And that's why I
Yep.
really encourage these young people as we get ready to close up here. Find people on social media that are going to put positive things in your life. It may give you a
Yes.
great business idea. If you see something that's working for somebody else, they it may be something that can work for you, or
Yep.
something's not working. It can be something that you don't do. So it really is so important to find people like you that have a platform to get inspiration. And we're almost out of time, and we thank you so much for
Thank you
taking
for
some time
having
for
me,
us. But
Greg. This
a couple things before we go. The M&M Experience on YouTube. Tell us where we can find it, and I've enjoyed listening myself.
Thank you. It's actually under my page, Dr. Marilyn Martin. So if you search by my page, you can find the episodes there.
Awesome. Now, the last thing before we go is obviously we have to acknowledge that we're in Black History Month, and as we continue
Absolutely.
to honor all types of Black entrepreneurs, and they've got a really cool project that they've done on some Black entrepreneurs through the years. Why is it so important as these kids should really consider? And like we said, it doesn't have to be a full-time entrepreneur. They could
Right.
be a side hustle or just something they do sometimes.
Mhm.
But why is it so important for these Black kids now to understand the importance of taking that ownership and why we need more Black-owned businesses in the economy, whether no matter the realm of full-time, part-time that they have in it?
Great question. I think there's a couple of different responses. So I'll try to choose the shortest one. I think number one, I think diversifying our skill sets is always gonna for me, I've always liked having more than one stream of income, right? Um, that just a added security blanket. The secondly, I think when you're talking about a business, particularly if you decide to invest in it full time, you're talking about your legacy, right? So having a business for yourself that you can pass along potentially to your family, and potentially creating generational wealth. So I think entrepreneurship can be can play a small role in your life, or it can really change not just your life, but the life of your family members and people in your circle. So it really just depends on what you want. But to your point, it's very important for us to be in those spaces where we can be creative and we can build.
Absolutely. Well, I hate Melody couldn't join us. Please
Me
give her my
too.
best.
I
But we thank you
will.
so much for joining us from all the way from Rock Hill, South Carolina, co-host of
Absolutely.
the M&M Experience on YouTube, Dr. Marilyn Martin. Thank you so much for joining us
Thank
today.
you, Greg, for having me. Bye.
I talk to you soon.